Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today, on our episode of Game Development No Cuts, we are going to be adding one of the most important ingredients to any Souls-like game. Yup, you guessed it, dodge rolling. So, if you've never made animations before, or put animations onto a character inside of Unity, this is the tutorial for you. So, there's two options we have. First option, we can go and hop into Blender and manually create the animation of a character rolling. Or we can do the smart, cheap, easy, and nice way and go onto Mixamo and then see if they have a suitable dodge roll. If you've never been on Mixamo before, basically, it's a bunch of free animations and characters that you can just download, and they're automatically like rigged and ready to go. This is one that I was messing around with earlier. All we have to do is go into the animations tab, and actually, let's find our paladin, if I can spell it right, because this guy right here is actually the same guy that we already have in this game, as you can see. It's the same character model, so we'll just use the same one in Mixamo. Anyway, next step, we go into the animations window, and instead of searching for paladin, we search for, I don't know, something like roll. That one's pretty good. That one looks fairly similar to Elden Ring. I don't know if I like what he's doing with his arms, though. Let's see this one. Let's see if they have a specific dodge roll. Nope. All right. Once you have your animation picked out, um, I'm going to just do the, what is this one called? Stand roll. You click download. And with skin basically means that you download it with the character model attached. We do not need the character model, so we can say without skin. 30 frames per second is probably fine, and FBX is what we want. Click the big old download button. And then, once McAfee has finished scanning this bad boy, find it in the folder. And now we're going to want to take it and move it into our project folders. So I did that by using this shortcut thing that I have right here, but I'm pretty sure you could also have these windows opened and then drag it, select something and then drag it in. But that's the way I like to do it. Now, if we go into assets, we should have this FBX right here. Click on it, and I think Let's find a folder to put it in. Well, we don't need a folder. I guess we can make one right here. Create folder, and I'll just call this one Animations of Doom. And then we take our FBX and slap it in there. Then, here's the fun part. We get to kind of extract the animation from the FBX itself. So model, it shouldn't have everything. This is the first step right here. We go to the Rig tab and we select Animation Type Humanoid. And we create it from this model. And let's hit Apply. And we'll configure it to make sure that everything's kind of lined up correctly. Hips, spine, 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 shoulder. Usually it does a pretty good of automatically configuring it, but sometimes you're going to want to check the fingers. Toes, foot, hand, which I seem to have lost somewhere. Anyway, looks like it's working fairly well. So after we do that, we have our thing. And then we can go back to everything else. I'm trying to remember how to get out of this menu. We had it locked for some reason. All right, going back to animations. And if you're wondering what I just did there, it was locked, which means I just had to unlock it, and then we could get out of that menu. Next thing, let's see. Do we have an avatar already? Well, I don't think the avatar will really matter. So, all right, we should have it already configured. Now we go into the animation tab. And let's find our character. And okay, it's working the way it should. Okay, starting at the top of the list. We have all of these things. I do not know what they are, so we're going to skip them. Clips. So, if you import a model from Blender, for example, sometimes you'll have multiple animations on a single character. So you might have the dodge roll, you might have walking, and you might have swinging a sword, all on the same character, all on the same timeline right here. So what you would do is you would select a start number, which is this thing right here, and an end frame, and this would define at what point a particular animation was at. So let's see. We want, I'll give you an example. So right here, we don't necessarily want this whole beginning thing. We can just, let's say, start it right here. So the start would be 7 and the end would be 71. Okay, so we just trimmed this animation down a little bit. Once we do that, we come down here into these little doodads, and loop time is what does it do? Let's see what this description says. So it makes it loop, of course. So for now, we don't really need to mess with any of these because we can always come back and change them, and you'll see what I mean if we have to change them. So we click apply, and now, oh, yeah. So let's say now we wanted to make another clip. Maybe we only wanted half of the animation. What we would do is we would then hit a plus. Oh, I made a mistake there. So this bad boy, we don't want to change. This is in the Mixamo.com thing. We can rename this to trimmed roll. Okay, hit apply. And now we have an animation clip trimmed roll, which is that right there. And then we can go down to here, which is Mixamo.com, and this is going to be example clip. Example clip of doom. Anyway, and for this, we would only need, let's say, half of it. It doesn't matter necessarily where you put each of these start and end frames. Well, it does matter. Whatever you have between the start and the end is all that's going to show up in the clip. And then once you have your desired clip, click apply. And now you can see here we now have example clip. Yeah, and trimmed roll. So example clip of doom, trimmed roll. Now I believe all we need to do now is navigate in our project to our character, so this guy. Come up here to the animator, and if you don't know how to open the animator, I will show you by closing it and then reopening it. You go to Window, Animation, Animator. And now, whatever you have selected in the hierarchy over here is going to be the animator. The attached animator is going to show up. So this thing right here. Now, I am not going to go over how to make multiple layers in a particular animator, but in this, I will simply show you how to add an animation to whatever layer you're working with. So, here is my attacking stuff layer. So we have my slashing left to right, slashing right to left, and the spin attack. But now we also want the dodge roll to be added. And the reason why we don't want to put the dodge roll here in the base layer is because the attacking layer is set to weight 1. And the base layer is overridden by the attacking layer, which means whatever, if we put our rolling animation in here and we were then to attack, the rolling animation would get overridden by one of these guys right here. Okay, enough explanation. Now, all we have to do is we go back to our animation. So we want to go to animation and we want our trimmed roll, and then we just drag it in. Now, this next part may change depending on how your layer or how your animator is set up. Right now, all I have to do is make transition from the default empty motion animation, go to trimmed roll, and then go from any state into trimmed roll as well. And now that I'm looking at this, I probably don't even need these right here. But let me show you how this would kind of work normally. Let's say you're just doing it on the base layer. What you would do is you take your idle run walk blend. This is what I'm using right now. This base layer is the default new input system base layer. So if you're using the new input system and you use like the pre-made third-person character asset, then this is going to be what you would connect your trimmed roll to. And then you would make a transition like that and like that, going back and forth into it. And then the transition in this case, you would have a condition. And I'll show you how to set conditions in the attacking stuff layer, because this is what I'm actually going to be using. Okay. So, what is the condition? How do we want to do this? Okay, so to make a condition, first off, we have to go to our parameters. And right now we have our jump, grounded, free fall, motion speed, attack, yada, yada, yada. Now, in this game, I don't think I'm going to have a jump. No jump is going to be necessary, because it's a Souls-like, and you know, Dark Souls didn't have a jump button. Which means down here we can probably delete this right here. We don't need it anymore. I'm going to keep it around just in case I change my mind, but I'm going to delete the transitions that go to it. So now this will allow me to fall, which is, you know, good. Fall and then land, but not to be able to jump. Okay, back to this. So, because now all I have to do is go and adjust the parameters. So right now I have a bool, and I'll show you how to make these. So bool jump, and it automatically named it jump 0 because I already have a jump. And then when I wanted, actually I'm going to name this dodge, and then right here I'm going to set this to have exit time because it's attached to the any state thing. So has exit time means that whatever animation it comes before the trimmed roll animation, like let's say it's a spin attack, my spin attack, the animation will have time to complete itself before it moves on to the trimmed roll animation, to the rolling animation, which I guess that reminds me, that's why these transitions exist from the default into all of these, because the default is just an empty animation, so we don't want to wait to transition out of that, which means the transitions would not have exit times. So we would want this unchecked on this side. Anyway, so we check has exit time, and you know, we can adjust the transitions and stuff. And then now what we want to do is implement this via script. So what do we do that? How do we do that? Go to our assets. We need to find, or we go back to our guy. So we're done with the animator for now. We go back to our guy here, and we find whatever controls our animator, whatever script we made earlier. So I know the main melee controller does part of it, but I don't think that's the one we want. I believe we're going to want our new third-person controller script. So you would probably have an equivalent script, assuming you're this far in the project. And if you don't, you can just make a new script and follow the instructions that I'm about to show you. What I'm about to show you is sort of what you would do for every animation in the animator. So try not to get too freaked out by all the crazy stuff. My script had to be heavily modified and kind of weird looking because my character has to, I'll show you. My character has to be able to stay upright even when, like, you can see even when he's like upside down or at crazy angles, which Unity doesn't like very much, so it kind of requires a crazy script to make it work, which I might do a tutorial on how to make a character controller like this, but that is out of the scope of this video for today because it's not quite done yet, as you can see. Anyway, aside from my game's weird glitches, let's get back to this. All right. Movement. Actually, let's see. Does this have the jump animation in it? Player input, character controller, animator. All right. Here is what we're looking for. Um, I'm going to have to adjust this slightly yeah, because we're not doing jump stuff anymore. Okay, so right here where I would jump, I'm going to show you how to do the dodge script instead. So we would do underscore anim. And if you're wondering what this is, if we go up here, this is the reference to the animator that is attached to the same component. So you would type in animator underscore anim, and then, you'd put your, I forget what this thing is called. And then in the start method, you would put underscore anim equals get component animator. And then down in, let's see, down in whatever section that you have your jump variable in, you would put anim dot set bool. And then we would say okay, we're going to do it slightly different than what they did here because now we're going to put in a string. And the string is going to correspond to this variable, dodge. So we would do D-O-D-G-E, dodge. And then we would set it to either true or false. True, in this case, and end. Okay, so now we should be able to let our script reload. All right, let's test it out. Let's test this out now. When we jump, okay, well, we shouldn't jump. All right, we've done something wrong here, apparently. Because we are not supposed to be able to jump. Layers, base layer. Okay. Oh, I know what we did wrong. It's in the script. So, this right here is, we weren't doing the jump animation, which is good, but we were giving our character the movement. We were forcing him up. So I believe that should fix it. All right. Well, we're not jumping, which is good. But we're not rolling either, which is not so good. Okay. Which means that we haven't done something correctly. Ah, we forgot to set the conditions. Okay, so this is the way. This is the way. Remember this dodge variable thing, or parameter that we just made? Well, in order to implement it, we click a transition like this, and then we click add condition, and then we select which condition we want, And in this case, we scroll down to dodge. And we want it set to true. And we also want it over here, like that. And let's shrink this a little bit. Okay, let's save our progress. Hit play. And now, whoa. Okay, we have a problem, Houston. We're doing the animation, but our player is not, they're being cringe. That's the official game development word for it. Okay, so I believe that the way we fix this is by going back into our FBX here, and then we get out of that. Then we go back into here, and we adjust these scary looking things until it works. So, trimmed roll. We don't want a loop time, but let's try this thing right here. So we'll just keep testing these until they work. I'll link a video in the description on how these things work specifically. That's better. That is better. Okay, but we're not moving forward when we dodge. And it looks like our character is kind of rotated one direction. Okay. Going back to here. Let's... Okay. So this bakes in the rotation, which means that it actually, like, I think that's what was messing with part of the rotation before. Okay, this is making sense now. So now we want to bake in the X and Z position. See that? Because now our player actually moves from the spot. So let's apply, and then we hit play. And now, okay, maybe that was not the right thing to do. Okay. That would have been the right thing to do if our character controller was set up different. If our character controller was dependent on animation for movement, then this is what we would want to select. But that is a slightly more complicated way of doing things. But right now, our character controller is the movement, the X and Y, X and Z movement, is actually controlled by our script directly. So what we would do is we would make it so that when we do our dodge, our movement would be like actually controlled by the script. Every time we dodge, we get pushed forward. Okay, so let's do that really fast. Where's my mouse? goes. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to say, we're going to figure out how we move the player really fast. Okay, transform position equals transform position plus player. That means the direction times speed times time dot delta time. Okay, so we're going to copy this right here. And then we're going to go back up, paste it in right here. So transform dot position is going to equal our current position plus, the player's Y rotation, which, and then times speed times delta time. I think all we need to do here is just set a number. So, well, let's just try it like this. Let's try it like that without editing everything, and then I'll explain to you how it works, if it works. Okay, didn't work. Okay, speed equals 15. Hmm. Okay, so let's just try setting it to speed in general. There we go. Okay, so I am not touching the keyboard right now. So this is basically working how it's supposed to. We move when we dodge. Although I don't really like the rotation that we're dodging, so I believe all we have to do is come to this root transform rotation section and then do like a bit of an offset. So just increase the offset until, or decrease it until we're going in a straight line. And let me expand this so it's slightly more visible what's going on here. So right now we are adjusting this blue dot and this blue triangle. And when we offset it, or we're not doing that. So, but you can see, we set this to 0, and our player kind of goes in a diagonal direction. And then we set it, let's say, to 45, and now our player is sort of going up and down. Let's set it to 180, and we're going the opposite direction. So we want to set it so that our player is going in the same direction as this blue arrow, which would represent the front of our character. So we want to set it right about, right about -30. Because we start on this thick line, and then we come back to the thick line. It's not perfect, but now when we come back into our game, we dodge, we go straight forward. And our dodge kind of looks like we're going straight forward. Okay, but we don't stop dodging. So how do we fix that? Well, we go into our assets, animation, and our specific roll, the trimmed roll, and we open it up. Right now it's read only, so we can't adjust anything. What we want to do though is we want to add an animation event near the end that sets its own bool to false. It sets the is dodging the dodge bool to false. All right, so we have to get this bad boy out of read only. And if I remember right, the way we do this is just by duplicating it. And then, yes, we can come in to the duplicated one and add the event. So we add an event. And we're going to set it near the end. And right now, you can see that it's kind of like got this weird setup going. And the reason why, I think, is because this animation isn't attached to an animator. Because this right here is this, not this. So all we need to do is click that and then put this in instead. And then we open it up, go to here. Okay, it's still not working. Oh, we have to open the prefab? Our character's prefab? Prefabs, character. Then we go to our guy, go to our animation, get our, what did we call it? Trimmed roll? Yeah, there it is. Go to here, and there it is. Now we have what we want. So, but we have no function yet. So if you remember in our stamina video last time, we are going to, how we set up a function to decrease the stamina when our character performed an action. Well, we're going to do the same thing here. We are going to make a new animation event function thing. So I'll just add it to the very bottom. You can add this kind of anywhere. It just has to be a public void, and the script that it's on has to be attached to your player. So we're going to go public void stop rolling. And from here, we're simply going to say underscore anim dot set bool, and dodge is the bool, and we're going to set it to false. Don't forget the comma. Okay, now that we're done with that, we go back into here, go to our trimmed roll yet again, or not. Assets, animation, trimmed roll. Yeah, there it is. We select it. Oh, gotta select that first. Okay, I'm sorry, that was the wrong process. You go to your character prefab. You go to the object that has the animator attached to it, and then you open your animation window, and then from here you scroll down and find the rolling animation. Then we go to here, go to our event, and then we find our um, stop rolling void. It'd be nice if there was a search function. Okay, just gotta go slow. Did I save it? Yes, I saved it. Public void stop rolling. That's what it's called. And that is what we're looking for. Jeez Louise, I must have passed it twice now. Okay, take. Adjust, thrust, turn, set. Update, begin damage. Stop listening, start, stop. Okay. There it is. Stop rolling. Sorry about that, guys. My brain just decided to not work for some reason. Anyway, now we go into here. We hit play. We have it all set up. We dodge, and it stopped eventually. Oh, okay. Slight adjustment. So you remember with our attacking animations, so slash left to right, for example, we always put the return to sword idle or return to idle at the very beginning. But with the one we just made, we accidentally put it at the very end. So we just have to take it, put it at the beginning instead. Save that, and hit play again. And now we do a single roll. Okay, never mind, it's still not working. What is the animator doing? Hmm. That is weird. Okay, okay. What is going on here? Animator, get out of there. Oh, jeez. Okay. Public void, stop rolling, anim set bool dodge to false. That is good. So maybe our other script is setting dodge to true and jump time delta. Oh. less than 0. Okay, so time to journey into the new input system land. Yay! Okay, player input. We want to go into the new input. And now we go and we're looking for our on jump thing. Is pressed. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to find we're going to get out of the prefab, and then we're going to go to our player itself, and we're going to look on the animator on this player. We're going to watch this box right here. So that when you hit play, it's true. It gets, it gets set to false, but then it gets set back to true really fast. Do you see that? It's like blinking. It might be laggy for you, but it gets set to false and then it gets set back to true. What does that mean? It means something is setting it back to true over and over. I suspect that this is the result of me converting jump into dodge. So, where do we set this? Where does this script normally set jump to false? Let's see. Oh, right here. All right, let's just try something. Underscore anim dot set bool, and instead of a jump, we are going to put dodge. Dodge. Oh, no comma. Until we're outside of the quotation. Let me set false. Okay. Let's test that. This might not be the most efficient way of doing it, but this is how I like to adapt the pre-made stuff for my own purposes and evil designs. All right. We're watching the dodge thing. Okay. Still not working. Okay. I'm going to go back to the prefab. And just for kicks, we're going to go to layers, tacking stuff, and it might simply just be that the transition is messing with it up, or messing it up. So let's shrink the preview. Okay, let's try that. Always try with the simple stuff first when you're debugging. Unless it doesn't work, then you can do whatever you want. All right, so something is turning this true a lot over and over. And the only thing that does that is the thing we made right here. So I'm just going to get rid of it. Control X. And I'm going to get rid of this one as well. That sets it to false. Oh, Control Z. I want this one, please. delete that, and right here, we're going to put a check, or we're going to use this check. If grounded is equal to true, then we're going to put in our another check. Actually, we're going to delete this. It's not time to put that in yet. Delete, and then we're going to put in one more check. If, and then we want our input, so I believe I called that ni dot, what's it called? It's the ni, and it's the jump input that we're using. And where did I just have this placed? Oh, ni.jump. Right there. Control C. Ni. Oh. Dot jump. If ni dot jump is equal to, oh, only, yes, 2 equals to true. Now we put in our thing from earlier, the animator adjustment. So underscore anim dot set bool, and we put in our string name, which would be what was it called? Dodge. D-O-D-G-E. Very important to get the spelling perfect. And we set it to true. Now, whenever we're on the ground, and whenever we press the jump button, which is spacebar, we will dodge. Okay. Let's give it a test. Okay, it's still not working. What does that mean? It means that the new input is staying true? That doesn't make any sense. Jump input, what is that? If, okay, so it could be because we're on this ship, and the ship kind of messes with how the input system works. So let's grab our glider change, which is our character, and we'll just throw him off the boat. And since fall damage doesn't exist yet, bonk. Let's give it a whirl. Okay, it still doesn't work even when we're off the boat. Whoa, we broke something. Oh, I just accidentally hit the scale. That is weird. Okay, guys, well, if you're wondering how to turn your guy into a 2D object, you just set the Z scale to 0. Whoa, and it messes with UI as well. Secret Unity bug discovered? That was actually kind of cool, or kind of interesting. All right, so the rolling animation is still going. Did we do something silly in the animator? Dodge is true. Yes. Dodge is true. What about the other ones? I'm going to increase the speed a little bit because I think the dodge speed is a little slow. Let's see. Oh, maybe not that fast. 1.5. Anyway, enough playing around. Let's figure this stupid thing out. Going into our prefab. There is something, I suspect it's this input system. All right, it's debugging time. So, jump input, bool, new jump state. What is this? Jump equals new jump state. What is jump? Jump is a variable at the top, which I believe let's add a debug right here. Debug.log. What is this called? We're going to say ni jump is true. Let's make it visible. And it looks like ni jump does not get set to false ever. So maybe what we'll do is instead of setting the, well, we'll just set it directly to false. Ni dot jump is equal to false, or set it equal to false. Let's see if that works. I doubt it will, but it'd be nice if that's all it took. And sometimes it is. Okay, bop. Hey, that's all it took. But now, for some reason, our speed is all weird. Okay, so maybe what we actually have to do, what's happening is the reason why we're not moving anymore when we jump is because, or not when we jump, when we dodge. The reason why we're now dodging in place instead of moving like we were before is because the animation keyframe event whoosh, that we made earlier, we put it at the very beginning. And so all the frames where it used to be pushing us forward, it no longer is. So I think we can safely move this to the back now. Give it a save, give it a save project, and let's hit play. Yep, gives us a little bit of a boost. And one final problem I see, that is when we roll, our character floats in the air. He doesn't actually roll on the ground. And I think that's a simple fix. Should be able to just go, not into there, other prefab. The animation prefab, the FBX. And we go into our trimmed roll. And yes, root transform position Y. And I think we can put that in. Let's apply that. Let's see if that's what it is. Fall onto the ground. I couldn't tell. This HUD is in the way. Let's turn off the HUD temporarily. So we're going to come into here. HUD, be gone. Now we hit play. Survey says we are still floating. All right. Oh. Right. That's because we have to do it on the duplicated one, not the original one. Silly me. And then let's hit there's no apply button. Okay. But let's see what happens now. Looks right in the preview. Let's see what it does in the actual game. Hey, look at that beautiful roll. Let's see, can I hold down the spacebar? No. Okay. Now, if you guys were wondering why, I just realized, so if you guys were wondering why the jump was set up so weird, where the jump would stay on for a while, that's because in the pre-made thing, in the pre-made third-person new input system controller thing, the way the jumping worked was there was a timer, and when you jumped, for as long as the timer was on, it would apply force up. And then the timer would turn off, and then I bet it turned off the jumping bool from the new input system script. That's why it was kind of weird. I doubt your scripts will be like that. I guess if you do exactly what I've done, it'll be like that for you. Anyway, so we got our dodge roll done. And I think I'm going to call that good for this video. In the next one, we're probably going to be adding invincibility frames so that when you dodge, you actually avoid getting hit. And we're going to make it take stamina. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. If you made it this far, please don't forget to subscribe, although